This is a key to the worksheet on topic 18 and its parts D and E. And in number one, you want to write the equation for the graph g of x after the indicated transformations. And so you're taking your parent function, which is x squared, and you're going to shift it 3 units to the right and then stretch vertically by a factor of 3. And then you want to indicate what that function would be. Okay. Now, just remember, and we're talking about the quadratic function here, so x squared. So my basic function, let me go ahead and just remind you about this. So if I have y equal negative a times x minus h squared plus k, remember dealing with uh, the quadratic function, so that's why you see this. Just remember that the negative here, that negative is the reflection, that is a reflection about the x-axis. Okay, so that's a reflection about the x-axis. All right. The A right here, that A, that is the vertical stretch or shrink. Vertical stretch or shrink. And that's where you multiply each y value by A. Okay. And so if A is greater than 1, if A is greater than 1, you get a vertical stretch. If A is between 0 and 1, again, not including 0 and not being 1, then we have a shrink. All right, and then remember x minus, that minus is important. All right, so that h, notice I'm not circling negative h, I'm circling h. That's important to understand. So when this x minus h, so you see how it's under the squaring function. So this x minus h would be that would represent a horizontal translation. So the h here is a horizontal translation, and so you either go left or right. So if h is positive, you go to the right. If h is negative, you go to the left. Do you see that plus k? So remember plus k, so it has to be plus, okay? Plus k. So this k would be, your vertical translation. Your vertical translation. And so if k is positive, you would move your function up. If k is negative, you would go down. Okay? All right, so let's look at number one. So number one, you have your parent function x squared, and then there's only two things that you're doing. You're taking x squared and you're going to stretch it vertically, and then you're going to stretch vertically by a factor of 3. First thing you're doing, is shifting it to the right 3 units, and then you're going to stretch vertically by a factor of 3. Okay, so when you do that, you got to remember, again, it says in that order, so you have to do it in that order that you see. So you're going to shift vertically to the right. So when you do to the right, remember that's underneath. When you do a horizontal translation to the right or left, that's underneath the square part. And so this would be, let me go ahead and do that here. So that first part then would look like this. You would have y equal x is set to the right. Okay, so to the right will be x minus 3 squared. So that's what that would be. Okay, and then you're going to stretch vertically by a factor of 3. I guess I shouldn't have used both 3's here, but it is what it is now. All right, so the stretching, that's this number here, so that goes on the outside here, and so that's what you would have. So that's the answer there. Okay, so then that would be your function g of x. So it would be to have 3 times x minus 3 squared. Okay. All right. So number two, it says you have this function f of x right here, and then you want to graph a function g of x, which is this plus 3. So remember, what f of x is the same thing as y. So this is your y right here. So basically what you're doing is is you're adding 3 to each of those y coordinates. So the x coordinate is going to stay the same. You're just moving this function up 3. So remember, that's what that plus 3 means. So it's kind of like when you had this k here. So that's your vertical translation. So you're going to take this and you're going to shift it up or down that number of units. So this says I take this graph here and I'm going to shift it, since this is plus 3, I'm going to shift it up 3 units. All right, so up 3 units. If this was minus 3, I'd go down 3 units. All right, so that's important to know how to do that. So then I'm going to use a different color. So then I'm going to shift these points up 3 units. Now these are segments. So you don't, all I would do is just go to those endpoints right here. Just use those endpoints to move up 3 units. I wouldn't worry about anything else because those are segments. Okay? And so this point here, if I move it up 3 units, becomes 1, 2, 3. This point here, 1, 2, 3. So then I get this segment. Okay? And I really should use a ruler. This point here, I move it up 3 units. 1, 2, 3. Let me go ahead and use a ruler. And then I'm going to connect those 2 endpoints. And so there's that segment that's been moved up 3 units. Okay, see how it's moving up 3 units? And then I'm going to take this endpoint here, I'm going to move it up 3 units. 1, 2, 3. And so that then would be, that right here, then would be g of, let me make sure I write the right one, this right here. So that is g of x equals f of x plus 3. Okay? So this, remember this says here, to graph g of x, I'm going to take f of x, I'm going to shift it up 3 units because it says plus 3. All right, so that is the key. That is the key to topic 18, parts D and E.